He just ignored the picture?
And I guess he just went to bed.
Maybe he didn't see it. I feel terrible for Shannon. I can't even imagine what she's been through.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 18, Episodes 9 and 10. And before we get started, before anybody goes on to ask me, Brooke, where's episode 8? I'm gonna let you know right now, episode 8 was boring. I had checked out when Teddy Mellencamp came out. I said, shout out to everybody, I have fun. I was over it. But anyhow, Alexis Bellino, are you well? You're defending your boyfriend who is extorting his ex-girlfriend on national TV, and you're okay with that. And John, you're raggedy and pathetic. Two losers. And let me just say one more thing. I'm going to need for everybody, but especially Tamra and Alexis, to give Shannon a part of their checks because Shannon has been in their mouths all season long. They can't go a scene without bringing her up. That's how you know you're that girl. But y'all, I have so much to say. So without further ado, let's just get right on into it because you guys already know that we don't have a minute to spare. We started off with a quick scene with Heather and Alexis. They're in the car together. And Heather's telling Alexis all about her family equality charity event that she wants them all to go to in Sonoma. So we learned that Heather's been working with this organization for the last 10 years. They're an LGBT organization, so she's a huge ally and she's excited for this charity event. She tells Alexis that she's invited everybody, including Shannon. Heather goes on to ask Alexis if there's any way that her and Shannon can put the beef aside and get along. And I said, now, Heather, that's a silly question because Alexis loves the drama. Alexis is getting a kick out of all this. She enjoys antagonizing Shannon and giving her a hard time. So for you to say, well, is there any way for you guys to put it aside? No, there's not, because Alexis wants to keep this going. Because again, if there is peace between her and Shannon, that means that Alexis has no storyline. And every time Shannon's name gets brought up, Alexis gets activated. So she says, well, Shannon's going around telling lies about John, and then on top of that, she owes my man 75 grand. She needs to shut her effing mouth. And I said, excuse me? You've been running your mouth all season long. In all of your confessionals, they've all been about Shannon. But you're saying that Shannon needs to shut her effing mouth. Got it. Again, Alexis is desperate, delusional, and thirsty. And imagine you going this hard over a man. A man that Shannon already had. Are you not embarrassed? But for her to act like she has a prize on her hands and that John is the last man on earth, you need help. So now we cut to Heather in her Beverly Hills home, and I'm not going to hold you guys. It was a cute family scene. I love Heather, I love Terry, love the kids, but nothing really happened. I did think it was sweet at the end when Terry said, Heather Dubrow, thank you so much for everything. And then Heather said, Terry, thank you for such a beautiful life. And he said, my pleasure. I love that. I love that Terry and Heather appear to have a strong marriage. And I also love the fact that he takes so much pride in providing for his family. So now we skip to a few short scenes of everybody packing for the Sonoma trip, and now we cut to Jenn at home. So we see that she's packing for the trip, but now we see her FaceTime Katie, and she's telling Katie that she's not going to be on the private plane with them. She's going to be on a separate flight. So Jenn reveals that she has a court date with her ex-husband, and she says that this date has been 4 years in the making. So this court date will determine her temporary child support, spousal support. So I said, girl, get your money. Worry about plane rides and all that stuff later. Go and get every dollar that is owed to you. It's so crazy how it's taken her 4 years to get this date set. I'm like, my God. And the craziest part about this whole thing is the fact that we saw her ex-husband Will on camera last season. They seemed cordial, they were fine. So to hear that it's been this complete 180 ever since last year, I want to know what happened. But anyhow, Jenn says that she's happy that progress is finally being made. And then she gets emotional and says that she feels like she can't do this anymore. And now she starts crying. Now, what I love about Katie and Jenn's blossoming friendship is the fact that they've both gone through the same thing. Katie knows exactly how Jenn is feeling. And now we learn from Katie that when she walked away from her ex-husband, she walked away with nothing. She says she didn't get a lump sum, there was no divorce settlement, there was no alimony, spousal support, nothing. And I want to know one thing. How is that allowed? I just don't get how a lot of these men are able to get away with this. And it was always so mind-boggling to me on Atlanta, despite how I felt about Sheree Whitfield. One thing about it, she was owed her child support and her alimony from Bob. And the fact that we saw it play out for a whole decade, that man did not give her that money, I'm just like, how did that happen? Why did the judge allow that? Why wasn't Bob in jail? He owed her, I think, what, $1.5 million? That's what she was granted in the divorce settlement, and he didn't give it to her. But my next thing is, you're a man. You're a father. How do you not feel bad being a deadbeat? That's okay to you? My heart really goes out to women dealing with that stuff because I can't even imagine. Now, one thing about it, I will always give people their 10s when it is deserved. Because Katie's confessional shade had me screaming. She goes on to say that she saw a picture of her ex-husband recently and even his hairline doesn't like him. She said that his hairline is non-existent now and it's running away from him. I was on the floor. I said, Katie, whack him again.
I'm gonna just scoot on over and let you whack him. Get him again. Get him for me.
Now, one more thing. I know that I've had a side eye for Katie after she pulled that stunt with Heather, but I do want to say that Katie has all the makings of being a top-tier housewife down the road. Hear me out. She's pretty, fashionable, rich husband, beautiful home. She's quick on her feet, an interesting backstory. The material is there. If she would just focus more on that and really tap into her story, she'd be great. So anyhow, it's now the day of Heather's Sonoma trip, and they're all on Heather's private plane. And what I love about Heather is that she is not here for any BS, especially when it's on her time and on her dollar. She had a seating chart. She had Alexis and Shannon sitting separately. I said, I love it. And I saw a few people talking about, oh, that's a bit excessive. Why did Heather need a seating chart? They're all grown. They should sit where they want to sit. No, that's Heather's plane. She pays the bills every single month for it. When they get their own planes, they can sit where they want to. But when they're on Heather's plane, they're going to sit where she tells them to sit. I think that what she did was smart. She's not trying to have any drama up in the air. She wants peace, and it's her trip. They have to abide by the rules. It is what it is. So we see Katie and Alexis sitting next to each other, and Katie's asking Alexis if she plans on talking to Shannon at any point during the trip. And Alexis says, before we got on the plane, I did wave and I said hi to her. And I'm thinking, Alexis, just leave that woman alone. And it's very disingenuous of her to paint it like she's trying to be nice and she's trying to extend an olive branch when she's really not. Now, anytime you have Emily, Gina, and Tamara all together, you know some BS is about to fly, and that's exactly what happened. So we see Emily asking Shannon if she's dating anybody. Shannon says, no, right now, I just want to focus on me. So Emily is still pressing her on it, and she's like, well, you can date, you can have fun, just don't buy the next guy's shoes. Now, when she said that, I already knew that she was referring to John in some capacity. I just said, oh my gosh, can y'all please leave Shannon alone? Just for 5 whole minutes. You guys are on a private plane, there's champagne flowing, there's a charcuterie tray. Enjoy that. Why do you make it your mission to bother Shannon? So Shannon is immediately flustered and she's like, stop it right now, don't bring this up. So now you have Gina interjecting and she says, careful what you tell us because we just can't help ourselves. And I said, Gina, we know. because you and Emily do that every single season. Every time somebody tells you some piece of information, you guys always find a way to embarrass them with that piece of information in front of the group. Y'all do that constantly. And see, Shannon is a lot nicer than I am because I would have checked y'all both right then and there. So now we find out from Gina that a few days ago, Shannon was showing them some picture of Alexis and John at a red carpet event. And Shannon pointed out that the shoes that John was wearing were the same Ferragamo shoes that she bought him when they were together. Now, my first thought was, if I'm Alexis, I'd be a bit embarrassed that my man can't buy another pair of designer shoes. Why are you still walking around in the same shoes that you had a year ago? You don't have any other shoes? Because production was messy. When they zoomed in on those shoes looked beat up. I said, oh, he's gotten his wear out of those shoes. Those shoes have seen better days. I said, he's probably slept in those shoes. He's worked out in those shoes. I'm like, John, it's giving broke boy, because why is that your only pair of good shoes? I said, it makes sense why you're suing Shannon for $75,000 to buy another pair of designer shoes. So Shannon says in her confessional that she told the ladies, she said it under her breath, and that John had no idea about designer shoes until he met her. Now, a few quick points for all my white subscribers. Let me know down below. Were you guys taught to never buy a man shoes? Because in the Black, Caribbean, West Indian community, it's a whole thing about you never buy a man shoes because he's going to walk out of your life and walk on over to another woman. I mean, I'm not a fan of buying a man anything because he should be buying you stuff, all right? So I'm not here for buying men gifts anyway. But if you are going to buy a man a gift, I don't know why. Don't let it be shoes. So Shannon, that's where you really messed up. The minute you bought him those shoes, everything really fell apart. Don't let this happen again. And I'm just so surprised to hear that Shannon was paying this man's way while they were together, because Shannon grew up rich. She had a rich dad. And I know her dad was not telling her to pay for a man. And she also had a rich ex-husband. So I'm surprised that Shannon would succumb to desperation by paying for a man. Shannon, I love you, but don't ever let this happen again. And for the love of God, do not ever buy another man shoes. And for all y'all out there, I better not find out that you're buying men's shoes. I don't want to hear about you buying them Pradas, Jordans, Ferragamos, nothing, none of that. Tighten up, okay? I don't care that Christmas is coming. He needs to buy you something. Don't be out here buying, no, stop it. So of course, Tamra has to insert herself and make things even messier. So she calls out to Alexis, hey Alexis, what were the shoes that John was wearing the other night when you guys were on the red carpet? So immediately, Alexis knows that they're talking about her, and she's like, they were Ferragamo, but why are you guys even talking about me and John anyway? So now you have Alexis running off at the mouth in her confessional, and she says, I just don't understand. Why is Shannon, as a 60-year-old woman, dissecting a photo? Are we in high school? Shannon needs to focus on something else. And I said, wait, you're talking about are we in high school when you're the one who's acting like a pick-me at your big age over a man that Shannon already had? If you ask me, the only person acting like they're in high school is you, Alexis. You are so pressed to let everybody know that John is your man, and nobody cares. You're the only one who wants him, sis. You can have him. And you're going so hard over a grown man who is extorting his ex-girlfriend for money on national TV, I might add, and then on top of that, only has one pair of designer shoes that his ex-girlfriend bought him. That's the man that you're fighting over. I was living for Heather's shade when she said, wait, the shoes are only $375 to $425. They're on sale. They're not that expensive. So now they touch down in Sonoma, and now they're on their way to the resort. So we see Alexis talking about she's unsure of what to do if she happens to be alone with Shannon during this trip. And I said, girl, don't worry about it, because Shannon has no plans to get near you anytime soon. You are so focused on her. It is sad. It's creepy. It's weird. So Alexis says that she wants to pull Shannon aside and tell her, I know it's uncomfortable, but let's put that aside and just be here and support Heather. And I said again, Alexis, there's no reason for you to walk up to Shannon to state the obvious. You just want to find a reason to talk to her and bother her and piss her off. So while Alexis is going on and on, Gina interrupts and she's like, look, Alexis, one thing about it, you cannot release those videos. That would break her. And Alexis says, well, she has to know how much she's hurt people. Is John paying you to do this? Because I'm just not understanding why you're going so hard over a situation that does not involve you at all. Stay out of it. And you're not also concerned at the fact that your new boyfriend is still fixated on hurting his ex? That right there is a red flag. I'd be like, oh, there are obviously still some feelings here. Let me see my way out. Because the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference. If somebody still hates you, that means that there's still feelings there. When you're truly over something, you're apathetic, you're indifferent, you don't care. The goal is detachment. You know it's sad when Gina's actually making sense and I'm low-key siding with her. Because she says, honestly, Alexis, if you release those videos, it's going to send her over the edge and you don't want that. And I said, but Gina, here's where you have it wrong, because Alexis does want that. Alexis and John both want to see her crash out over these videos. They want to hurt Shannon. And tell me you're a pick-me without saying you're a pick-me when Alexis said, well, that's my man and I'm going to fight for him. I said, oh my gosh. Girl, you are 3 years shy of 50 and you're talking about fighting for your man? Are you well? So the ladies get to the resort, and mind you, it's a cute resort and everybody's getting settled into their rooms. So we see that they're getting ready for lunch and they're being divided into two groups. So it's going to be Heather, Tamara, and Alexis going out to lunch and then a wine tasting. And then we have Shannon, Gina, Emily, and Katie going out to lunch. And then afterwards, they're going to go to a spa. So anyhow, we see Emily, Gina, Shannon, and Katie sit down for lunch, and Shannon orders a drink. And you have Gina saying, really, Shannon? You know that Tamara's here, she's on your ass, and I'm here. Why would you do that? And I'm thinking, Gina, shut up. She's not getting behind the wheel. She learned her lesson after what happened. And I'm pretty sure that Shannon will never do that again. But I don't like how there are all these comments being made every time Shannon orders a drink. I said it earlier. I've also said this in several other recaps, but they really do owe Shannon a check, because Shannon's storyline is holding everybody down. Because even at this lunch, the conversation turns to Shannon, John, Alexis, and all the drama. So you have Emily asking Shannon, what does John do? Didn't he own some business and he sold it? And Shannon says he had some shares in this company. He sold his share. He got some money out of it. So he does have money. So I don't understand why he's trying to press me for money, because he does have a coin. Well, it's clear that whatever money John made from selling his shares in that company did not make him enough money, because why is he asking you for money, sis? Shannon, you need to be thanking God that you guys did not get married. Can you imagine? He would have taken every dime that you have. You really dodged a bullet. So now Shannon brings up how she had a deadline and she made an offer to give him half of the money. And I find it mind-blowing that we're watching somebody get extorted in real time. So now we cut to Alexis, Tamara, and Heather having lunch. And of course, Alexis is thanking Heather for inviting her and including her despite Shannon being there. And I said, again, Alexis, you're delusional to even think that Shannon wouldn't be there. Shannon is full-time. You are not. But she continues on by saying that she just wants to say what needs to be said and that this group needs to figure it out. No, what you need to figure out is why you're so pressed and obsessed with Shannon. Figure that out. Because like I said, it's alarming that you talk about her every chance you get. So now the three of them head over to the wine tasting. And remember, Heather had said earlier on in the episode that she had done a wine collaboration with Family Equality, and so she got to pick out 4 different sparkling wines, and all the proceeds go to the organization. And as they're sipping, we see Jenn arrive. So Jenn sits down to join them, and Tamara's like, "Did you get your money?" And I'm thinking, can you let Jenn just settle in first? She just got off a plane. I'm sure she's hungry, tired. She could use a drink too. And that's the first thing out of your mouth? I was always taught to not inquire about somebody else's finances if you're not going to help them. And I just hate the way they're so intrusive and they want to know every detail, but yet nobody wants to write a check and help Jenn out. If you're that concerned, you would say, "Here, girl, here you go. I hope this helps you with something, but I just don't want to see you suffer." That's how I was raised. So Jenn says that things didn't go the way she thought they would go. Her ex barely looked at her. And on top of that, she was only granted $6,000 a month. So they're all like, wait, $6,000 for 5 kids? Now, the fact that her ex-husband is playing in her face like this, he knows good and damn well that $6,000 a month is not stretching for 5 children in Orange County. Now, Tamara, you really pissed me off when you said, "I'm just concerned and afraid because the fact that she lives with Ryan, I don't want her to just rely on that. She needs to get a job." I said, well, you stop saying that. Jenn does have a job. She's on this show just like you, collecting a check. And we all know that the longer you stay on these shows, the more money you make. And you can make upwards of 7 figures if you play your cards right. Then you can get the endorsement deals, you get the club walkthroughs, appearances. You can easily become a millionaire when you get on The Real Housewives. So please stop acting like Jenn is sitting there doing nothing. She is positioning herself to make as much money as she possibly can by being on this show in the first place. So we jump right back over to Shannon, Gina, Emily, and Katie at the spa. And here's where things go left. We have Gina boring everybody about her relationship with Travis and how the transition has been hard on her and the kids. I'm like, again, sis, we do not care. Now, mind you, as Gina is running her mouth, Shannon leaves the room briefly because she takes a call from her lawyer. So she comes back and says, "I feel nauseous right now. John rejected my offer, but I don't want to give this man a penny more." And Emily's trying to console Shannon. She says, "I don't want you to have to go back to court though." And Shannon's like, "But I just don't want to pay this man a penny more." And I agree, Shannon. I wouldn't give John a dime. We just be in court then, because I refuse to give this man anything. So as Shannon is crying, she says that she's so tired of this. She says, "Just let me live my life." Emily and Gina both chime in. They're like, "It feels so vindictive. Why do you want to hurt somebody so bad? It's just weird." Now, one thing about Gina has this bad habit of bringing up things that she shouldn't bring up. And I just knew from 3 episodes ago that she was chomping at the bit for Shannon to find out about these videos, because she brings it up and now Shannon's like, "Wait, what are you talking about? What video thing?" Like, girl, you better tell me. So Shannon is still pressing her and Emily. They're both not saying anything. And now Katie interjects and she says, "Shannon, Alexis is going around saying that there's video footage of you on John's Ring camera the night of the DUI, and he's threatening to release the videos." The minute the words came out of Katie's mouth, Shannon is unraveling. I want to say to Gina, I have no respect for you, because you did that on purpose. And I'm tired of you playing in my face because Miss Mamas, I see right through you. I've never liked you. And you get enjoyment delivering bad news. You do this every single season. you knew good and damn well to keep your mouth shut. That whole thing about, oh, I didn't mean to say that. Yes, you did. It was so calculated. It was so fake. It was so phony. You were itching to let Shannon know that piece of information. What really bothers me is the fact that y'all know how fragile Shannon is, and you know how emotional she gets, especially during this time. And it seems like y'all will not be happy until Shannon just goes off the deep end completely. It feels like y'all want to see her crash out to the extreme because the constant barrage of bad news. And Gina, like I said, you did that on purpose. So we see Shannon come back in the room and she says, I just told my lawyer to pay him whatever he wants. Those videos can't be released. And I said, now Shannon, let me just say this to you. There's no way in hell that that man would get $1 out of me. And also, Shannon, we already know about your DUI. We already know all the details. So if John did release the videos, it's not going to change anything. You've owned up to what you did. You've taken full accountability. You've taken full ownership. So Miss Mamas, let him release the videos then. I'm not the person that you could ever extort or blackmail. I'll be damned if I allow any human being to hold something over my head like that. Absolutely not. If I were Shannon, I would have called back and said, he's not getting anything. Let him know that we'll go to court and I'm going to countersue for extortion and blackmail. How about that? So at this point, Shannon is emotionally spent. She's like, you guys have fun at the spa. I'm going back to my room. I need a nap. I need to decompress. And before she leaves, she turns to give Gina a hug and she says, Gina, thank you so much for telling me this. I really appreciate it because now I know what's going on and I know that God has a plan. And I said, yes, God does have a plan, but Gina is messy and Gina needs to be checked for the way she delivers information at the wrong times. Everything that Gina does is calculated, is for screen time, is for a storyline, and to collect her check. That's it and that's all. And Gina has always reminded me of Ashley Darby from Potomac, both very diabolical, very nasty, very messy, very shady, very phony. Because do you notice that every time she delivers some bad news, she always has that little smirk on her face? Go back and watch. Gina always looks so satisfied with herself that she's ruined somebody's day and ruined their moment with some bad news. So now we see all the women getting ready for dinner, and now we cut to Shannon going over to Heather's room. Now mind you, Shannon has no makeup on. She's still in her robe from earlier, and her eyes are still bloodshot. Her eyes are puffy because she has been sobbing since the afternoon. So Heather's like, hey, how are you? How was the spa? And Shannon says, yeah, about that. I didn't end up getting the spa treatment, but that's another story for another day. So Shannon says, look, Heather, I don't want to put a damper on this trip, but earlier today, Gina revealed that there are some videos out that John has of me that he plans on releasing. So now Shannon starts crying again, and she says, every day it feels like there's something. Then she says that John wants everybody to think that he's this great guy, but he's not. I know the truth. I paid for everything in that relationship. I have the receipts. I have the bills to prove it, but I'm just so tired. So Shannon spills some tea about the night of her DUI, and she says that when she lost control of her car, she hit a planter, went unconscious, and landed in the hospital. So she continues on by saying that when she got out the hospital, one of her good friends called her and asked her, don't you find it strange that when this went down, John didn't come running after you? And Shannon's like, well, that's a good point, because how could he not hear what happened? Now, I find that hard to believe. I think that John just didn't care about Shannon, because there's no way that you don't hear a car crashing into a planter right next to you. I believe that John saw the whole thing, heard the whole thing, and didn't care to check on Shannon. So Shannon reveals that before she went unconscious, she took a picture of herself and she sent the picture to John. So she says around 1 o'clock, or I think she said 1:40 a.m., John texted her back and he didn't even acknowledge the picture. All he said was, what the hell happened? The police are here with Archie. Like, where are you? So now Shannon pulls out her phone and shows Heather the picture. When I tell y'all I have never gasped so loudly, you see Shannon with half of her face bloody.
Sorry, it's okay. Okay. Oh, Shannon. Oh my God. It's like...
You got blood in her eye, just dripping down her face. I said, wait, you're telling me that you sent a picture of yourself all bloodied up and this man did not acknowledge it? You didn't get a, are you okay? Oh my gosh, what happened? Shannon, I hate to say it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but John hated you because there is no way on God's green earth that somebody sends you a picture of them all bloodied up like you were and there is no reaction. There's no way. That man did not care about you whatsoever. This episode was so heavy. I really felt so bad for Shannon. I said, how much can one person take? She has gone through a lot. So we jump right into episode 10 and Heather says, oh my gosh, Shannon, I'm so sorry. I know it has to be hard with Alexis on this trip too. So Shannon's like, Heather, it's okay, girl, it's fine. I mean, she's on the trip, so what can we do? So now Heather's like, so do you still want to have dinner? Do you want to get ready? And Shannon's like, honestly, I don't want to go to dinner because she's going to be there. I'm not even dressed. I don't have any makeup on. My eyes are all puffy. I'm good. So Heather's like, girl, I have my glam with me. Get dressed. Come back. Get your hair and makeup done. I got you. I thought that was sweet of Heather to offer Shannon her glam team. I said, that's what friends are for. And it's honestly the least you can do when you invite her enemy on the same trip. So we cut to Heather in her confessional and she says that she's extremely concerned for Shannon. She's never seen Shannon this fragile or broken before and she is worried. Now, Heather, I love you and all, girl, but if you were that concerned, you wouldn't have invited Alexis on this trip in the first place. Just my 2 cents. So now we cut to everybody else getting ready. And now we see Emily go over to Alexis's room because she just wants to have a talk with Alexis about Shannon. So Emily's in her room. They're making small talk. And now Emily says, Alexis, I have to be honest with you. I came here to have a woman-to-woman conversation with you about Shannon. When we were at the spa today, the whole video situation got brought up. Shannon was bawling and shaking. I felt horrible for her. And now you have Alexis jump in. And of course, Alexis is delusional, petty, and just overall dense because she's not trying to understand what Emily is talking about. So she says, well, it's not just Shannon's side of the story and everybody feels sorry for Shannon. I'm like, what aren't you understanding, Alexis, that this is not your fight? And you are actively trying to destroy another woman for no reason. So Emily says, look, Alexis, it's getting dirty, it's getting salacious, it's getting mean, it's just not right. So now Alexis says, well, there's nothing mean on our end. I just said, wait, girl, are you dumb? How is it not getting mean on your end, but you and your boyfriend are really trying to extort Shannon out of money and then threatening to release videos to destroy her? How is that not mean? That's how I know that Alexis is not that bright, because there's no way that you can say that with a straight face that you're not being mean while actively trying to destroy somebody. So now you have Alexis saying that if they were so mean, the videos would have been out already. And Emily says, but that's not the point. The point is you're going around telling everybody about these videos of Shannon, so that is mean. So now Alexis says, well, I don't know what to do anymore. I can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And I just said, girl, what you need to do is stay out of all this. You also need to tell your man to drop this lawsuit and stop extorting somebody on national TV. So Emily is still trying to talk sense into Alexis Bellino's pea brain. And she's like, All I'm saying is have some compassion. So now you have Alexis jump up and she's trying to play victim. She's like, well, what about me? I was effed over in all this too. And I said, but how? This isn't about you, Alexis. She's always been so insufferable and so self-centered. Why are you making this about you? You're not the victim here. What aren't you understanding? So now you have Alexis throwing a temper tantrum like she's 5 years old. And she says, I just hate how I'm getting blamed for everything. And she's sitting up there getting all the sympathy when she's the one who ran into a house and still drinking. And at this point, Emily is over it. She's like, you know what, Alexis, you got it. You don't want to hear where I'm coming from, whatever. So now Alexis says, I don't even know if I should go to dinner now because she's so vulnerable and distraught. I should just stay in my room then. Emily did not even attempt to coddle her. She was like, okay, girl, well, I'm going to dinner. You have fun in the room. Bye. So now we see Heather, Tamra, and Shannon at the bar. And as they're waiting for everybody to arrive, they're ordering some drinks. So Shannon orders a Belvedere soda. And you have Tamra talking about, is she kidding me? Really, Shannon? Then she goes on to say that she knows how Shannon's brain works. If Shannon does not get a drink, then that's admitting to herself that she has a problem. And I said, Tamra, let me hold your hands when I say this. Stop focusing on Shannon. Stop acting like you care about Shannon's sobriety. You don't. You only want to shame and humiliate her. That's it. And it's just weird to me because you like to drink too. We've seen you drunk many times on this show. So I'm confused as to how you became the moral police of somebody else's drinking when you also get shit-faced too. I'm just confused. It's not making sense. So now we see everybody else arrive at the bar. And before they walk into the restaurant, Shannon tells Gina and Emily about how she offered John the full amount with a non-disparagement clause. So she says that John turned it down, and Gina and Emily both say, well, obviously, it's not about the money. He just wants to go after you. Now, John, I really hope that you feel like an idiot because you have no excuse to not drop this lawsuit when Shannon is offering you the full amount. You're obsessed with Shannon. And Alexis, like I said earlier, if I were you, I'd be very worried. I'd be alarmed that my boyfriend seems awfully invested in taking down his ex. That's a clear sign that there are feelings there. That's the real reason why you're so bothered by Shannon, because you know deep down inside that John probably talks about Shannon more than he talks about you. So now they sit down to eat, and I was just thinking, can we please have one scene where the focus is not about Shannon, John, and Alexis? Can we talk about something else? My God. So Gina brings up how Emily went to talk to Alexis, and Emily says, yeah, it didn't go well. So now Tamra says, well, it's because Alexis feels like the group blames her and how she's a horrible person because she fell in love with John. So they're all like, that's not the case at all. So now Heather announces that Alexis just texted her and told her that she won't be at dinner. And then Heather reads Alexis's other text where Alexis says, I don't understand why Gina brought up the videos when they haven't even been released. And now Shannon jumps in and she's like, wait, can I be an asshole for just 30 seconds? That effing bitch. I said, ooh, I said, Shannon, say it with your chest. I said, girl, go off. The way Alexis has been coming for you, I was not mad at it at all. I said, go off, sis. One thing's for sure, two things for certain. Tamra is going to always find a way to be a contrarian to every single thing that Shannon says. So Tamra's like, I just don't understand. Why can't you guys just talk? So Shannon's like, I don't want to talk to her. What don't you get? And Tamra, I don't understand this because you even told me that if you were in my situation, you wouldn't talk to her either. I'm just baffled right now. And I said, but Shannon, you've known Tamra for 10 years now, and you know firsthand that Tamra is two-faced and not a good friend. So why are you so surprised that Tamra's now jumping ship and now hanging with Alexis? And Tamra also gets a kick out of befriending people's enemies. She loves stirring the pot, being an instigator. So again, is anybody surprised? And also, Alexis always craved Tamra's validation and friendship, just like everybody else. So I'm not surprised to see Alexis and Tamra like this now, because Alexis always wanted to be Tamra's friend. So we see Shannon get up from the table. She's like, I need a minute right now. I need to cool off, go to the restroom. Like, I'm just getting pissed right now. So now you have Tamra saying that they all need to support Alexis the same way they support Shannon. So now Heather says that it's difficult to navigate this friend group now because of Alexis and Shannon. And I said, now Heather, it's really not that hard. It's actually quite simple. Stop inviting Alexis to events that Shannon's going to be at. So now Shannon comes back to the table and she's like, guys, I have one favor to ask. Can we all talk about something else? Can we not mention John or Alexis and all this drama? Let's just go one night without that. And I said, thank God, because I've been asking that for the longest. I'm tired. And what makes it worse is the fact that we're spending too much time on a friend of the show and an ex-boyfriend who's not even being filmed. If we're going to talk about lingering drama for 10 episodes straight, let it be between full-time cast members, not secondary characters and characters who aren't even filmed. So now it's the next day, everybody's getting ready, and we see Alexis in Heather's room, and she's like, hey, how was last night? What did you guys do? And Heather says, it was a cute night. We ended up at this bar afterwards. It was fun, but we did miss you. And I said, girl, speak for yourself. I know that I was happy to have a scene without Alexis there. So now Alexis wants to know, how was Shannon's demeanor last night? And I said, girl, focus on yourself. Why are you still asking about Shannon? Stop talking about her. You already know that she was upset when she found out about the videos, so just drop it. You always find a way to have Shannon's name in your mouth. So Heather makes it clear that today it's going to be the same thing with both groups being split up. So now Alexis starts whining about how unfair it is that the group has to be split up and how last night she was in her room for 13 hours due to Shannon. And I said, baby, don't blame Shannon for that. Blame yourself. You're a grown woman. You could have gone out to eat by yourself. Nobody told you that you had to stay in your room for 13 hours. If I were you, I would have gone out solo. You're already dressed, makeup's already done. Have a night out by yourself. Nothing's stopping you, but don't put that on Shannon. That's on you, girl. So Alexis continues by saying that the storms that Shannon's created is her own doing and she needs to just learn how to live in peace. How is Shannon creating storms in her life when she's upset that she's being sued and threatened by her ex-boyfriend? Wouldn't you be sad? How did she create that storm? I'll wait. And before anybody says, oh, well, she was talking badly about John. Okay, Anne, it's the truth. If she was paying during the whole relationship, that's her truth and her story to tell. And she has a right to tell it. John does not get the right to try to silence her by suing her and blackmailing her. So we see Katie and Jenn outside. They're talking. They're waiting for Heather and Shannon because the four of them are going to do sound baths in the forest. So Katie brings up how she wants to talk to Heather again about their issues regarding paparazzi gate. She says that she just wants to let Heather know that there was no ill will and she wants to apologize again because she doesn't want Heather to think that she's this bad person. And she also feels like she's getting the blame for something that wasn't her fault. So Jenn is me because Jenn is like, girl, I understand you, I hear you, but I feel like it's time to move on and let this go. I don't see this going well. And I would have told Katie the same thing. Like, Katie, we've moved on. We've moved past this. Let's not bring this up. Let this be a lesson to any newbie to never fall for the okie doke. Don't ever join these shows making your storyline about previous storylines when you weren't on the show. Katie, I already told you that you made a mistake making this your storyline in the first place. You should have never brought any of this up. So now we see Heather arrive and she's asking where Shannon is. And Jenn's like, I checked on her earlier. She wasn't feeling well, so I don't think that she'll be joining us today for the sound baths. So they make their way to the forest, and now we cut to Alexis, Tamra, Gina, and Emily at a bakery. They're making biscuits. Now, why did I say that? Because now I can't stop thinking about biscuits. My mind has gone off to the cheddar biscuits at Red Lobster. Now I'm thinking about some smothered biscuits and gravy. I'm starving, by the way. I'm like, what am I going to order when I finish this recap? So anyhow, they're making biscuits and Alexis decides to spoil the fun and bring up all the drama. And I said, girl, you don't rest, do you? You just can't help yourself. You just have to find a way to bring this up any chance you get. So she says, guys, I know that we're having fun, but I just want to say that I'm sad. I'm upset that you guys are in the middle of all this. And I just want to find a way to move forward and coexist in this group. And Alexis, while that sounds nice, your actions are displaying something totally different. You don't mean that. If you really wanted to find resolution and find some peace between you and Shannon, you would not have carried on the way that you did in the first episode. When you showed your ass and dismissed Shannon the way that you did, that was when it was over. You blew your chances of ever having a cordial relationship with Shannon. That was the time to let Shannon know that you were fine, you came in peace, but you didn't do that. You were so thirsty for a moment that you ruined any chance of you and Shannon ever being cool. So Gina says, well, thank you for saying that because it has been hard navigating in this group with all the drama between you guys. Then she goes on to say, just because we support Shannon doesn't mean that we're attacking you. So now Emily and Gina both turn their attention to Tamra. They call Tamra out for how she's been unable to be supportive of Shannon. Emily says, Tamra, I'm just confused because you've been friends with Shannon for a long time, but it seems like you're unable to find compassion for her. And Emily, the reason why Tamra is unable to find any compassion or love for her so-called friend is because Tamra doesn't have that kind of love to give anybody. Tamra does not care about anybody but herself. She's not a good friend or a true friend to anybody. What's not clicking? Why are we still acting so confused as to why Tamra acts the way she does? So here goes Tamra with the dramatics. And she's like, you know, it just kills me to see her drink and I don't want that in my life anymore. And Gina says, I'm gonna let you finish, but it's not your place to set the boundary for anybody else. And I was a bit gagged. I said, okay, Gina. I said, again, Gina, I don't like you, but you ate with that. Because it's true. Tamra has no right to police what anybody else does. They're all grown. And who is she to judge anybody when she drinks just as much? So Gina says, bottom line, we're going to support you guys both. So now Alexis says, everybody needs to butt out. And I said, Alexis, how are you saying that they need to butt out when you keep inviting everybody into the drama? You want everybody in the group involved. You can't have it both ways. Either you want to take care of this privately, one-on-one with you and Shannon, or you want everybody involved in the drama. So we jump back to the ladies in the forest, and we see that Shannon has joined them for the sound bath. Now, Shannon, you showed up with no makeup on, eyes still puffy, your hair's all disheveled, your pajamas, and you're still sick, coughing up a lung. Miss Mamas, you should have stayed in bed. I don't know why you wanted to be filmed looking and sounding like that. So now the sound bath is over and they're drinking tea, standing around making small talk. And now Katie interrupts and she's like, Heather, I just want to talk to you about what went down. I want to explain my side of the story. So Heather's like, Katie, just so you know, this is a step backwards. This is not the time or the place to talk about this and rehash old drama. I'm over it. We're in nature. We're on this trip. I don't want to bring up old stuff. Now, Katie, I know that you are a smart woman. You know, as well as I know, that that was not the right time to abruptly bring that up. And the fact that you did it in front of Shannon and Jenn, at least have the good sense to pull Heather to the side and talk privately. But you completely killed the mood just blurting that out. Why would you do that? But Heather makes it clear that she's not having this conversation right now. And she says that she would have more respect for Katie if Katie would just own up to what she did instead of blaming somebody else. So now we jump to Heather. She arrives at the venue for her fashion show. And I have to say, the venue was gorgeous. The fashion show is being held at this gorgeous vineyard. I mean, stunning. So we see that Heather designed some of the clothes with her fashion designer friend, and everybody is going to be modeling all the pieces. So now we see all the ladies arrive. Heather's introducing them to the designer that she collabed with. And I don't know if it was just me, but this scene with Emily really pissed me off. I feel like Emily is a miserable, insecure woman who is always triggered by something. Heather is showing Emily the outfits that she's going to be wearing on the runway. She says, Emily, you and Alexis are going to be wearing the same dress. So Emily's like, oh, great. I mean, how do you think that I'm going to feel hearing that Alexis is wearing a dress in a size small and I'm in the same dress that's a bigger size? I shouldn't have eaten all those biscuits earlier. So I'm like, wait, what? What are we talking about? Are you serious right now? I don't understand why you're feeling so triggered now. Heather did not say anything that was rude or demeaning. She just said how cool you and Alexis are going to be wearing the same dress at different points in the show. Why is that bad? It feels like Emily is always trying to find fault and be upset with Heather about something. When Heather showed Emily the second look that she was going to wear, and it was this pretty oversized jacket, Emily took offense to that. So Emily says, well, when I hear the word oversized, I get triggered because it's a reminder that I don't like my arms and that I can't fit my arms into normal sleeves. I said, wait a second. Are you trying to insinuate that Heather is trying to body shame you? Heather gave you a pretty oversized jacket because that's what goes with the look. Also, the jacket was cute. It was stylish. It was very chic. And you are aware that oversized jackets are in. So for you to paint this as Heather triggered your insecurities on purpose, I was really irritated. And also, Emily, nobody has time to babysit and coddle you and your triggers and your emotions. That's nobody else's job. It's time for you to go and see somebody. And I'm not being shady, but you obviously have some issues and childhood trauma and insecurities that you have not gotten past. You are a clear example of why you need to do some inner work and heal whatever you have going on in the inside before you get surgery, before you lose massive amounts of weight. Because despite her dropping 40 pounds, Emily is still very insecure. And I'm not trying to sound insensitive, but I just noticed that it's a pattern with Emily, where Emily always feels triggered, and then she tries to blame it on somebody else and act like they made her feel badly, when in all reality, nobody did anything to her. And Heather picked up on it. Heather was like, Emily, are you okay? Are you all right? Do you like it? And Emily's like, yeah, like, I'm fine. And clearly she's not fine. It feels as if Emily is looking for ways to feel slighted. And Emily, that's why I can't take you seriously as this newfound mean girl, because you're so sensitive and you're so triggered by everything that it's just so comical to see you try to be all bitchy and rah, rah, rah and aggressive with Jenn. Because that's not you. And you are deeply insecure. So now we see Shannon getting made up, and she says that she has a live show with Vicky in Houston, so she's going to meet her there. And she says that she cannot wait to leave because she is so tired of all this negativity. And was anybody else getting irritated with the way Alexis kept lurking around? She was trying to talk to Shannon. I said, Alexis, for the love of God, leave this woman alone. Get dressed in your outfits, get ready for the show, and leave Shannon alone, please. So right before the show is about to start, we see Tamra and Heather outside, and Tamra's asking Heather about her day. Heather's like, I mean, it was cool and all, but I was really pissed off because Katie brought up the drama yet again. And the way she did it was so weird. She brought it up in front of Jenn and Shannon. So Tamra sticks up for Katie and she says, honestly, Heather, you're not giving her any grace. I see somebody who was hung out to dry and set up by Gina. Now, Gina, don't you feel stupid? Because last season, you turned on Heather to be on Tamra's side. And this season, you're still trying to be close with Tamra. And she's over there throwing you under the bus, calling you a liar, saying that you set your new friend up. That's why I have to laugh when I see these girls still trying to cozy up to Tamra, knowing good and damn well that Tamra does not like them. Y'all keep setting yourselves up for failure each and every time. So Tamra goes on to ask Heather, why is Heather letting Gina off the hook so easily? And I have to ask that too. I feel that Heather is way too easy on Gina. And if I were Heather, me and Gina would never be close again. Because let's not forget, Gina turned on Heather last season. For no reason, I might add. So now Tamra says, look, girl, Katie told me earlier that Gina only keeps you around because of your real estate connections. So Heather's like, excuse me, are you serious? And Tamra says, yeah. Now, Heather, I told you to your face at BravoCon that Gina is a user. So I don't know why you're acting so surprised. And I believe every word that Gina is keeping Heather around because of who she knows. So Heather says, look, I hear what you're saying, but we'll talk about this tomorrow because I can't think about this right now. So the fashion show starts, and I have to say, everybody looked cute. I loved it. It was fun. The crowd was excited. And I thought that they all did a good job. I was happy to see everybody put their issues aside for the moment to just have some fun and support Heather. So now the fashion show is over and everybody's just mingling with the crowd, talking, having fun, enjoying the party. So we see Gina and Heather at a table, and Heather lets Gina know that she wants to talk to her, but not right now. So she says, I'm tired of all this chatter surrounding us. We'll talk tomorrow though, not today. So Gina's confused and she's like, wait, what? And Heather's like, yeah, we'll talk tomorrow, not today, like I said, but you have fun, be blessed. So Gina says, I don't know what's going on. I thought that me and Heather were in a great place. I feel like I should just be bent over permanently, waiting for my spanking from Heather. And I said, Gina, stop playing victim. That's one thing that I cannot stand about Gina. Gina is constantly throwing rocks and then hiding her hands. She does it every season. She's always playing shocked and surprised. Like, wait, me? You're mad at me? What did I do? Not me. Girl, yes, you. You started the whole thing. So now we see Jenn and Gina talking, and Jenn tells Gina that Katie told Heather that she feels set up by Gina. So Gina's like, wait, what? So Gina's not having it. She walks right over to Katie and she's like, Katie, can we please talk? And Katie says, not right now, not here, another time. So now we cut to Alexis off to the side with Tamra and Heather. And Alexis is saying that she wants to have a conversation with Shannon sometime during the night. And I said, again, let this go. Leave that lady alone. She does not want to talk to you. Just let this dream die. It's not happening. Alexis, you only want to have this conversation because you want a moment. That's it. And I love the fact that Shannon is paying you dust. Shannon does not even look at you. I love it. Shannon is starving you out. She's letting you know that you will not come on my show. You will not talk to me. You will not get any camera time from me. I love it. And Heather and Tamra, the fact that you keep encouraging Alexis to try and have a conversation, stop. What are we doing here? Y'all know that Shannon is over it. She's done. So again, leave it alone. So now we see Shannon talking to Emily and Gina, and Shannon says, it's not happening. I'm not talking to her. Just drop it. And I said, let them know again, because I don't understand what's not clicking. The time for conversation is over. And also, there's no point in them having a conversation if Alexis is not going to apologize for what she's been doing. So now we see Katie walk over to Heather, and Heather says, I know I didn't let you talk today. It wasn't a great moment for me, but let's talk tomorrow. So Katie says, great, tomorrow it is, and she's happy because finally there's some progress between her and Heather. Now I said, Katie, let this conversation about paparazzi, Gay, and Gina, let this be the last time we hear about it, because I refuse to go into episodes 11 through 18 hearing any more about this. Let this be the last and final conversation. Make sure that you say everything that you need to say, get it off of your chest, because I can assure you that we, the viewers, have already checked out. So we see Shannon about to dip out to go to Houston. So she's giving everybody a hug. And when she walks over to Alexis, this moment was so iconic because Alexis has her arms out for a hug. And Shannon says, Alexis, I know that you wanted to talk to me, but I do not want to have a conversation with you. I'm good. She walks away. And Alexis is gagged. When I tell you I was screaming, I said, Shannon, that's how you clear. Shannon ate. She said, girl, I heard you want to talk to me. I'm not interested. Leave me alone. You be blessed. I don't see it for you. There is no conversation to be had going forward. When you see me, leave me alone. Don't speak to me. I won't speak to you. We're good. And it was so good because everybody got the memo that they need to stop bothering the both of them to have a conversation. Because even Tamra said, well, you got your answer. It's over with. Move on. She does not want to talk to you. She made her decision. I said, finally, we can put this whole thing to bed about, well, have a conversation with her. Let's try to move on. No. Shannon said that the door is closed. So now it's the next morning and we see them all getting ready for lunch. And mind you, it's their last day in Sonoma. They're going to have a nice bite to eat and some wine before they get back on the plane to Orange County. So as they're passing the wine and charcuterie tray around, Gina says, I have to say, it's been a beautiful trip, but I am a bit upset because it feels like we're circling back on old drama. And Katie says, well, yeah, because I've heard that you keep calling me a liar. So Gina's like, well, yeah, I have. So Katie says, well, I don't appreciate that because I'm not lying. Now, does anybody notice that every time Gina is confronted about anything, her first instinct is to start screaming? So she starts yelling at the top of her lungs. And I said, now, Katie, if I were you, I would have checked that immediately. Because, girl, take that bass out of your voice. Who are you yelling at? And also says, you're over here calling me a liar after you set me up for failure. And now you want to talk about I'm a liar? Oh, no, ma'am. And every time Gina starts yelling like that, it's out of guilt because 9 times out of 10, she's yelling to cover her tracks because she's being called out on something that she did. So they're going back and forth, and now Gina turns to Heather and she starts screaming at her. She's like, I thought that we already addressed this. And Heather's like, girl, why are you yelling at me? And the way Emily kept interjecting throughout this argument, I said, Emily, shut up. Just sit there and drink your wine and enjoy the charcuterie. Why do you always feel the need to insert yourself? So now Heather addresses Gina and she says, well, I heard that you only keep me around for my real estate connections. So Gina's like, wait, what? Who told you that? I can't believe that. I would never say that. I said, Gina, we're not going to sit up here and play like you are not a user and a social climber. We all know that the real reason why you latched onto Heather was because of her status and where she is on the socioeconomic ladder. Stop. You benefit greatly from being friends with Heather and Terry Dubrow, and you know it. You're getting way more out the friendship than Heather is. Let's just keep it a stack. If we're going by transactional friendships, Heather and Terry are getting nothing out of being friends with Gina, because your money can be funny and you can still have status. Gina does not even have status, so they're not even getting that from being around her. Gina is getting all the perks and the benefits from being friends with Heather Dubrow. And also, Gina, the way you turned on Heather last season, that was a telltale sign to me that you don't really like Heather. You're only around her based on what she can do for you. I believe 100% that you said that and that you feel that way. And Heather, I need you to wake up and realize that Gina is a user and she's been playing you the entire time. So Gina really goes off at this point. And she's still screaming at Katie, saying that Katie is a liar and she can't believe Katie right now. And then she starts playing the victim and starts with all that fake crying and says that she's going through so much right now. I said, Gina, for the last time, when I tell y'all that we do not care about what's going on with you and Travis, and for you to bring that up as a way to get sympathy is pathetic. So now Emily inserts herself yet again, and she's like, wait, what exactly are you saying that Gina said about Heather? So Katie says, Gina told me a few months ago that her and Heather are close and that Heather helps her with her career. So Emily's like, wait, that's not even bad. That's actually a nice thing to say. And I said, once again, Emily, stay out of it. We don't need your 2 cents. And I have to say, I was bored with this argument because nobody had concrete receipts of what was said. It was just, you said this, you said that, nobody can prove it. And who's going to admit that they were talking about their wealthy friend behind their back? Nobody. And especially in Gina's case, she damn sure is not going to admit that she ever talked badly about Heather. So Emily's like, look, it's obvious that you guys are not going to agree on this, so let's just move on. So now Tamara jumps in and she's like, Gina, when you start screaming like that, you make yourself look guilty. And I have to say, she does. Because Gina does that a lot. She has a pattern. Every time she's confronted, that's her go-to move, to start screaming. So now Gina gets upset hearing that, and she says that she's not defensive or guilty. She's just passionate. And I said, girl, you're just annoying and insufferable. That's what you are. So now Heather says that she believes Gina without a doubt because Katie has yet to take ownership for anything. And I said, now, Heather, I think that you need to be really careful having this blind trust in Gina because Gina has screwed you over twice already. And I understand that you're mad at Katie, but let's just take a step back. Please do not let your hate for Katie cloud your judgment. But we end this episode with Gina trying to get more sympathy about her sob story with her and Travis. And when I tell you I tuned all the way out, I said, yeah, I'm not doing this with Gina. Bravo, please let this be Gina's last season on this show. I am tired of her. She has overstayed her welcome. She has been on this show 5 seasons too long. No storyline, no fashions, no reads, no iconic moments. No thank you. Let this be it. But Heather thanks them all for coming. They toast. And that's where the episode ends. Guys, when I tell you, I do not think you understand how excited I am for this reunion. Because when I tell you, I hope that Shannon clears everybody on that couch. I hope that she reads Tamara and Alexis for Phil. But y'all, as you guys can see, I had a lot to say. I hope you all enjoyed my double recap. Thank you all so much for watching. And you already know what to do. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye.